In Lucifer's fall, he asked of one thing, one wish. The chance to show God how unpious humans are compared to the way his kind once were. We called him an angel of light, but that's not what I believe he was. I believe he is something else. The Muslim believe he was a jinn. Made of smokeless flames, they are fire elementals. The jinn were made before mankind. Before Adam. We have westernized jinn into what we know as genies. Like genie in the bottle from Aladdin. So it goes, his one wish from God is where the three wishes of that Arabian lore originate. God granted him this wish. Jinn were made of fire, smokeless flame. A Celtic belief is that they are elementals, fire as are the jinn, and that he was placed amongst the angels of light because of his piety to God. This of course is before his notion to try and place himself above the Almighty, and before he refused to take God's command to prostrate himself in front of God's new creation, Adam. So, the demons of this world are here to distract us and to mislead us from our one true path, our path to God. We've been dumped down onto a lower vibro and indoctrinated into believing that we need to serve a godhead such as our government and the devil's prophet. Money is in fact the root of evil, because we have become slaves to it. We aren't even aware of the power it holds on us. But that subject, my friends, is for another story. I was in a slump for about 3 days when finally I called on God. I asked, am I where I am supposed to be? And I know I haven't made all the right choices, but am I close to the right track? Am I strong enough to withstand the storm? Am I going to spend my days feeling like the world is on my back? Are the entities I am seeing in my home and the weird experiences that me and my roommates and oftentimes our company experience a bad sign? I am not afraid, but what should I do?
My questions were answered. About a week had passed, and during my nightly routine of taking my pups out one final time for the night to potty, I experienced an odd occurrence involving once again my lucky number, 27. I've become more than a little superstitious as of late concerning this number. I've learned not to ask but to just accept my life path before me and to remember God has a plan, and when this number arises, when I encounter this number, I know that it means that I am where I am supposed to be, doing exactly what I should be doing. Anyhow, as my pups were doing their business, I suddenly hear a man singing and humming, snapping fingers, a few hand claps, and the undeniable rhythm of shoes dancing on the sidewalk. It was especially dark that night as it was a new moon. Plus the street light directly in front of my house there in Evansville was out along with a few other around the way. There was a bus stop in front of my front steps, so it was not unusual to see strangers about. But the buses stopped running around 10:30, and it was close to 2:30 a.m. Unable to see or tell what direction the sounds were coming from, I skint and turned my head about trying to see the source of the commotion when suddenly out of the gloom, and under one of the few streetlights that worked, came a smiling, singing, charmingly poor-dressed, African-American ball of energy. This man was wearing a plaid overcoat with a white V-neck and some black slacks that seemed about 3 sizes too large, a fedora with a large quail feather. He danced his way down the sidewalk, and as he danced to the foot of my steps where I was standing, he stopped. He froze in place for a moment. Nervously, I clear my throat and take a small step back. He spins on his heel and stops facing me with his finger pointing my direction and says, "Hey young man, what's your name and what's your game?" With a laugh I reply, "John Tucker is my name, sir, but I lack game. I can't lose a game I don't play." He says, "That's not always true, you see, you're surrounded by spirits." This shocked me to hear someone I didn't know say to me. He was right. They stay close to me for some reason. Someone outside of my very small circle of friends could see what I see. My house had been a conduit for spirits since the day I moved in. Actually, since before I moved in, as I'll explain at the end of this video. Usually, they will show up as orbs in pictures. These are good spirits and are harmless. However, the ones who try and take form on our 4 dimensions are usually up to no good. Beware of these if you start to see them around your home. They usually can't take complete material form as they are mostly elementals and blend in with their surroundings on this plane. Kind of like a cloaking effect. Appearing as a misformed shadow or deformed shade and even sometimes just a face. The only real way to get here is by possessing a vessel, usually human but not always. But how could he see what I see? My mind started racing to find the possibilities. Who did he know? That I knew. There is no possible way. I shook my head to clear my thoughts as he continued to speak. Yes. I see them all around you and your home, he said as he looked about the outside of my home and flicked his fingers about in front of him, as if he were seeing little fairies or something flying about. He then continues to say, John. Dear John, let's see, yes, the book of John is the 27th book of the Bible. Did you know that? And I see them spirits. All around you. Yes. Do you go to church? Answering himself before I could say anything, he also says no. Your home is your temple, isn't it? Me, still being in shock at the randomness of the whole deal unfolding before me and the mere fact that he mentioned my lucky number. 27. And acknowledging that I have an altar inside my home and mentioning the book of John, I had been reading Revelation just earlier that day. I was a little shocked. I mean, how the crap did he know all this? I reply with a simple yes. We then talked about random things like relationships of our past and goals for the future, hobbies, past jobs and even a bit on music. I then, after some time, notice his shoes. Though brand new looking, they wear way too small. I look up at him and I swear his left eye sparkled, glinted, literally lit up. He noticed me noticing his shoes and he said, they are a little tight. Before he asked, I put my finger up to save him the embarrassment and I said, hold on 1 second, my guy. I took the pups in and grabbed a pair of shoes I no longer wore and gave them to him. He was absolutely ecstatic for the gift and I cannot put into words the feeling it gave me to see him light up like that. He then shook my hand and said, keep up the good work, my man. The spirits are high in your presence. You are a gift in yourself. And he then danced away down Haney's corner back into the gloom. It wasn't till later that night it occurred to me that maybe that wasn't random at all. Maybe it was a test of moral and of charity. It was my sign, my answer to what I had prayed about.